Push-ups and handstands starting to hurt your wrists? Stop what you're doing. Here's how to fix your joint pain before it sidelines your progress. Wrist pain in calisthenics isn't bad luck. It's usually bad math. Your wrist joint was built to handle a small fraction of the load you're now asking it to carry every single time you drop into a push-up or kick up into a handstand. A joint that mostly handles typing and lifting a coffee cup suddenly gets asked to support half your body weight, bent at an angle it rarely sees anywhere else in daily life. Pain isn't your body being fragile. It's your body reporting an overload it was never given time to prepare for. Here's what's actually happening structurally. Your wrist extends backwards somewhere between 70 and 90 degrees the moment your palm is flat on the ground and your shoulder stacks over it. Most people, sitting at a desk all day, barely touch that range in months. Then they go straight from zero wrist extension under load to full body weight through that same range, cold with no buildup. The tendons on the front of your forearm, the ones that should be lengthening to absorb that stretch, haven't been asked to do this before. Something has to give, and it's usually the tissue that got the least warning. Elbow pain follows a similar pattern but with a different mechanism. Most elbow pain in calisthenics traces back to one habit: locking out hard at the top of every single rep, letting your joint absorb the impact instead of your muscle controlling the last few degrees. Do that hundreds of times across a training week and you're grinding cartilage and tendon insertion points that were never designed to be a landing pad. This shows up as pain on the outside of the elbow, sometimes called tennis elbow even though you've never touched a racket, or on the inside where your wrist flexor tendons attach. So let's fix the actual causes, not just the symptoms. Start with wrist preparation before you ever load them. This isn't optional, and it isn't the same as a general warm-up where you shake your arms out for 10 seconds. Get on your hands and knees, palms flat, fingers spread wide, and rock your weight back toward your heels while keeping your palms glued to the floor. You'll feel a stretch through the front of your forearm almost immediately. Hold there for 20-30 seconds. Then flip your hands so the backs of your wrists are on the ground, fingers pointing back towards your knees, and rock forward this time, stretching the opposite side. Do both directions for 2 or 3 rounds before any session involving push-ups, handstands, or planche work. This takes 90 seconds and prevents the single most common mistake, which is loading a joint that hasn't been told it's about to work. Next, change your hand position when the pain is already showing up. Flat palms on the ground force maximum wrist extension, which is fine once your wrists have built tolerance, but brutal on a joint that hasn't. Push-up handles, or even 2 sturdy books, let your wrist stay in a neutral, straight position while your hands do the gripping. This isn't a permanent crutch. It's a bridge while you build the mobility and tendon strength to handle flat palm work without discomfort. Fists, knuckles down, work the same way if you don't have handles, though they take some getting used to on a hard floor. For handstands specifically, your finger and hand positioning matters more than most people realize. Spread your fingers as wide as they'll go and actively press through your fingertips, not just your palm. This isn't a small detail. Active fingers create a much larger base of support and shift a meaningful amount of load away from the wrist joint itself and into the muscles of your hand and forearm, which recover faster and adapt faster than a joint capsule does. People who keep their fingers passive and rely entirely on palm contact are asking their wrists to do a job their fingers should be sharing. Now the elbow fix, and this one's about how you finish every rep, not just the wrist prep before you start. Stop locking out hard on your push-ups, on your dips, on anything where your arm reaches full extension. Stop just short of that hard bony lockout and keep a small, deliberate bend, maybe 5 to 10 degrees, controlled by your triceps instead of your joint capsule. This feels strange at first if you've spent months snapping into a hard lockout on every rep, but it shifts the end range stress off your elbow joint and onto the muscle that's actually built to handle it. Your triceps recover in days. Tendon irritation at your elbow can take months if you keep grinding through it. Volume and progression matter here too, probably more than people want to hear, because the fix that actually works is rarely a quick trick, it's a pace change. Wrist and elbow tendons adapt slower than muscle does. Your bicep might be ready for more volume in 2 or 3 weeks. The tendons connecting it to bone can take 2 or 3 times that long to catch up to the same load. This is why so many people get hurt right after a big jump in training, going from 3 sessions a week to daily, or adding weighted dips before their joints had months, not weeks, of unweighted reps to build a foundation. If you're ramping up volume, ramp up slower than feels necessary. The tissue that's actually limiting you here isn't the one giving you feedback through soreness. If pain is already present, and I mean actual joint pain, not the general muscle fatigue that goes away by the next day, back off the specific movement causing it completely for a week to 10 days. Not do it anyway, but lighter. Off, tendons need a break from the specific stress pattern to calm down. down, and continuing to grind through pain at reduced volume still keeps the irritation active, it just slows how fast it gets worse instead of letting it heal. During that week, you can usually still train other patterns that don't load the same joint the same way. Rows instead of push-ups. Leg work that doesn't touch your upper body at all. This isn't a week off training. It's a week off the one movement that's actively working against you. When you come back at a fraction of where you left off and build from there deliberately instead of testing your max on day one back. This is the step most people skip because feeling better after a week off tricks you into thinking the tissue rebuilt as fast as your pain went away. It didn't. Pain resolving is often just inflammation calming down, not the underlying tendon fully recovering its capacity. Push too hard too soon after a break and you're right back where you started, except now it takes longer to trust the movement again. One more thing worth saying plainly because it gets ignored by people chasing progress. If pain is sharp, if it's localized to one specific point instead of a general ache, if it doesn't improve at all after a proper week off, that's past the point where training adjustments fix it. That's a conversation for a doctor or a physical therapist, not another stretch routine from a video. Pushing through a signal your body is sending clearly isn't discipline. It's just delaying an injury that was going to show up anyway, except bigger. Protecting your wrists and elbows isn't about doing less, it's about building the tolerance and the technique that lets you keep doing more for years instead of months. Prep before you load. Adjust your hand position while you build tolerance. Stop hard locking your elbows. Progress your volume slower than feels necessary. That's the whole approach, and it's the difference between someone still training calisthenics 5 years from now and someone who quit after their wrist gave out in month 4. If your wrists or elbows have been bothering you, try the rock back stretch before your next session and tell me in the comments if you feel the difference.